All right, section 8.2, parallelograms. Remember, go ahead and fill in your date up here. Make sure you know when you're filling it out. All right, definition of a parallelogram is a quadrilateral with two pairs of parallel sides. All right, and remember the markings for parallel are over here. These little arrows show that the top and bottom sides are parallel, and over here that those right sides are parallel. Some properties of parallelograms that we need to know about. Opposite angles are congruent. That's marked right here with our tick marks, showing that they're congruent. Okay, so every parallelogram has opposite angles that are congruent. The sides are also congruent, and that's marked over there on the sides with those two tick marks here, and the other two tick marks here. And the other property of parallelograms is that consecutive angles, which we learned about in that first section, which are the angles right next to each other, are supplementary. And that means that one angle plus the other angle is equal to 180 degrees. So over here in this picture, one pair of consecutive angles shown is this A and D. You could also say, excuse me, that D and C are consecutive angles, and you could go around the parallelogram like that. You've got consecutive angles everywhere. All right, moving down here, we've got some examples. In PQRS, PQ is 20, QR is 15. And the measure of angle S is 70 degrees. We're going to find SR and SP. Important to note here that I am told that these figures are parallelograms. So because they're parallelograms, I can use these properties of parallelograms that we just went through in order to determine the other side lengths. So SR, which is across from PQ, SR would also equal 20. SP, which is across from RQ, would equal 15. Measure of angle Q, which is the opposite angle to angle S here, would also be 70 degrees. And then the last one, find the measure of angle P here. In order to do that, we have to know that those are consecutive angles. So the measure of angle P plus the measure of angle Q is going to be equal to 180 degrees. So filling in what we know that the measure of angle Q is 70. So I've got X plus 70 equals 180. Solving for X then, subtract 70 from both sides. And you've got X is equal to 110 degrees. All right. Next example here. Make that a little bigger. Find the values of X and Y. Again, we're going to use what we know about our parallelograms, and opposite sides are congruent. So in order to find the value of X here, oops, I don't want to line that, I want to highlight that. In order to find the value of X, I'm going to set those two equations equal to each other. So 6X minus 7 has to equal 2X plus 9. Now I'm going to solve for X. I'm going to choose to move my 2X over here. So 4X minus 7 equals 9. Add 7 to both sides. 4X equals 16. Divide by 4. I've got X is equal to 4. All right. Now in order to solve for Y, sorry about that. I'm going to say that these two sides are opposite. I'm going to solve for Y using those two. So I'm going to say 12 is equal to y plus 3. Subtract 3 from both sides, I've got 9 is equal to y. So those are my two answers for that. Moving down to the next example, finding the value of x. Again, I have parallelograms here, so I know that my opposite angles are congruent. So I know that angle C is equal to angle A, so I'm going to set up my equation. 2x plus 36 equals 3x minus 5. Using our algebra to solve, I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. So I've got 36 equals 1x minus 5. Add 5 here. And I've got 41 is equal to x. I don't see a z in this example, so we're just going to solve for x. I'm going to cross off that and z. All right, and in the next example, I'm going to try and find the values of x and y here. So looking here, I'm looking at x and y. I've got an x and a y, and I'm going to go ahead and find w too. I'll add that to my list here. We know that opposite angles are congruent, so I know that the measure of angle A is, I'm going to mark that as an x. That x also has to be 80 if they're opposites of each other. The other property of parallelograms is that we're going to use consecutive angles. Angle B and angle D are consecutive. So x plus 80 is equal to 180. X has to equal 100. I guess I should make that a y. Sorry about that. That's a y here. So y plus 80 equals 180. So y is equal to 100. And then I'm going to use that other property of a parallelogram where opposite angles are congruent. So w also equals 100. Okay. Moving on to some more definitions here. Diagonals of a parallelogram are going to bisect each other. Doesn't look like a C. All right, so again, those markings are over here on the parallelogram. Those diagonals bisect each other. Those markings are put there, so I'm going to fill in my segments. So I know that DE, segment DE is congruent to segment EB. And I also know that segment AE is congruent to segment EC. Again, those diagonals bisect each other. Last example here, in parallelogram ABCD, if AC is 56, find AE. So I've got AC, which is that whole side, is 56, and we've got diagonals bisecting each other. So I know that that AE plus EC plus EC has to equal AC, or I know that AC divided by 2 equals AE. AC divided by 2 equals AE. So I'm going to take 56 and divide that by 2, and I get 28. So I know that AE, segment AE, is equal to 28. Okay. That's what we've got for our notes then today. Your assignment again right here. Assignment 2, 10 through 26 all, 31 and 32.